Hi, welcome to my final video on the first 3 female Olympic champions of Paris 1900. All of these women's stories are just so unique and so compelling. However, Margaret Abbott's story will forever hold a special place in my heart. The more I learned about Margaret Abbott's story, the more I realized the why behind my project. I really wanted to amplify the voices of the women who were silenced, erased from history, who were never celebrated for their victories. And as you will learn, Margaret Abbott is one of those women. Margaret Abbott was born in 1878 and moved to Chicago in 1884 with her family. At the time, women were seriously restricted in the sports that they were allowed to compete in. However, women were allowed to compete in golf as long as they were being accompanied by a man. Margaret and her mother, Mary Abbott, started golfing at the Chicago Golf Club in Wheaton, Illinois. Margaret worked her way to a 2 handicap and was regarded at the time as having a classy backswing. In 1899, Margaret Abbott moved to Paris with her mother to study art. While she was in Paris, she learned about a local tournament that was coming up. So her and her mother decided to sign up. Like I mentioned in the video on Elena de Portelet, women received serious backlash from participating in the Paris 1900 Games. And since the Olympics was being held at the same time as the World Exposition in Paris, it was never fully explained if athletes were signing up and competing in an Olympic event or if they were competing in the World Exposition. Margaret Abbott won this competition with a score of 47 strokes in 9 holes of play. Her mother, Mary, tied for 7th place with a score of 65. Margaret and her mother did not realize that they were competing in an Olympic event. So they never knew that they became the first and only mother-daughter duo to compete at the same Olympics in the same event. Margaret Abbott died in 1955 and lived her entire life not knowing she was an Olympic champion. It wasn't until 1973 when University of Florida professor Dr. Paula Welsh saw Margaret Abbott's name mentioned as an Olympic champion in previous records. So for the next 10 years, Dr. Welsh dedicated her time and her research into uncovering this lost story of an Olympic champion. Through this whole process with the Olympian Artists Program, I reached out to Dr. Paula Welsh to tell her about the portraits that I would be completing for Paris 2024. I also wanted to thank her for her commitment to justice for Margaret Abbott. And through that connection with Dr. Welsh, I was actually connected with 2 of Margaret Abbott's granddaughters, Miranda and Jessica Dunn. This connection was so special to me. Jessica told me her grandma said, "I only won because the French girls wore tight skirts and high heels." But I'm sure Margaret Abbott's 2 handicap definitely helped her clinch that gold medal. This project has truly been so cathartic for me. Learning the stories of these women from 124 years ago, where women held little power in society, to not even being informed that they were competing at an Olympic Games, to present day where we have just achieved full gender parity at the Paris 2024 Olympics. And on top of that, connecting with women who have kept this legacy alive and thriving. This is why I included the red and the gold detailing of my paintings. Red is a color of rebellion and protest. These women broke through the glass ceiling to show what women could accomplish, even despite the severe backlash. The gold details as a whole represents the laurel wreath that Olympic champions were given at the ancient Olympic Games. But if you look closer, I have included 3 interwoven gold rings. This represents the past, present, and future female Olympians. It is meant to unite and connect us to the beginnings of our Olympic roots in Paris 1900. This project has given me so much pride in who I am as a female Olympian and learning what that means to me and what that means in history. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot about Margaret Abbott. She has definitely become one of my idols. I am so excited to see my art displayed in Paris at the Olympic Games this summer. And if you're in Paris this summer, go check out my art. It is at Club 24 along with 6 other Olympian artists. All of our work will be on display there for the entirety of the Games. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me.